So, good morning or good night, depending on where you are, and welcome to another interview of The Shield Doing a Couch. Today, I'm joined by Reed Alton. He's the lead singer of the band Osyron, which is a progressive symphonic metal band from Canada. And we're here today because this Friday they're releasing a brand new album called Momentous. And we're here to talk all about that and other stuff. So, first of all, Reed, how are you there, my friend?
I'm doing well. It's cold. It's snowy. Um, I know that I'm here for chill dude on the couch, so I'm the really chilled out dude in a car that's a lot warmer than outside. So that's kind of what's going on.
Oh, I bet. Where in Canada are you?
We're located kind of in the western part of the country, right near the mountains,
Oh, yeah.
in a city called Calgary, Alberta, or Calgary in the province of Alberta. So it's November and it's Canada, so it's getting cold.
Yeah, I'm guessing. Yeah, I've been to Canada a long time ago, and I think I went in the summertime, and it was cold in the summertime.
Really, I love our summers. I think it's the most. I've been around, most like not everywhere in the states, but I've been to enough places in the states in different areas and different parts of like I've been down to Mexico, been to Ireland and stuff, and so far a beautiful summer day in Canada is the
Yeah.
the place I'd want to be, 110%.
Re- Remember, I'm a tropical soul, so for for you, hot, it's cold to me. But yeah, it's not. I went. It's a lovely country, and another thing about Canada is like there's a lot of great bands that have come out from Canada in all styles. I so many great bands from Canada that I've loved. So I know that this is your fourth album that you're releasing this Friday, and I got to listen to it. It's great. It's for fans of progressive symphonic music. They will love it. So, Reed, you being the singer in this band, like uh, growing up, which were your musical idols?
Uh wow. I mean, growing up early on when I was first getting into stuff, it was definitely the classics. Like I love from the older generation of singers. I love Bruce Dickinson, Dio, Rob Halford, Ian Gillan. Um, who else would be kind of there? Like those kind of were big influences earlier on in my career. And then I started delving into more 2000s metalcore, more modern styles, I guess you can say, from Jonathan Davis of Korn, David Draymond from Disturbed, Miles Kennedy, and Chris Cornell, and then it eventually, I started branching into more interesting kind of hybrid vocal stylings like Mike Patton, Stu Block, Benji Webb. So I think all those kind of encapsulate a lot of what kind of makes up my style and why I sing the way I do today.
Yeah, and speaking of Stu Block, he is one of your songs. And
Mm.
obviously, when I saw the name, I was like, "Oh my God, Stu Block from Into Eternity." So, how? And that song, by the way, it's a great kick-ass song. The God, I think, what's the name of the song? Let me, so I can get it correctly. The Deafening. I was gonna say The Gathering, The Deafening. And How did that collaboration with Stu came to fruition?
Yeah, I mean, when we wrote The Deafening, because the lyrical theme and kind of the overall vibe of the song is a duality or a battle within oneself, whether it's your own self doubt or, kind of battling the inner voices in your head, I guess you could say. We were wanting to come up with, we wanted to have another singer there because it would make a great kind of back and forth battle, I guess
Yeah.
you could say.
Actually, you have three singers there because Percival is also on
Mm.
that track. Like,
Yeah, they're a Polish folk band. So um, there is a vocalist that is a part of that group as well. But in that song, the featured vocals were just myself and Stu in regards to the vocal battles. Percival does a lot of the instrumentation in regards to the symphonic elements, the folk elements, the strings, all that kind of
yeah.
stuff.
So yeah,
Um,
that song is cool because like you said, you have like the duels between you. So it's like a battle between the two singers, if I'm correct, right?
mhm, yep.
So did you knew Stu? How did you approach? How did you get him to collaborate on this song?
Yeah, we reached out to him, and he got back to us and loved the song, loved the concept, which we were surprised but also grateful for. And he recorded his parts, laid down some incredible vocals, and helped elevate the song. And then when we went to film the music video for it, and we reached out to him as well and said, "Hey, like, would you be okay if we flew you out here and put you up for the night and bought you some beers and all that stuff, and you can and you would come and film your parts?" And he said 100%, which was awesome. And he didn't have to do that, but it was something that he believed in, and he believed in the song and what we were doing. And it just made the video that much more amazing because he was actually there. It actually happened, and I got to be face to face with the one and only Stu Block, which was really cool.
Nice. So, what will you do when you have to go live and perform this song?
I'll sing his parts.
Yeah, double work for you. Yeah, nice. So yeah, that song, and I know that the band Percival is on another few of the tracks on the album, including the single that you just released, the last single, Anunnaki. And I
Hmm.
was reading a little bit about that single and what it means, but I wanted you to touch a little bit more on the meaning of that song in particular.
Yeah, so just to kind of give a quick history lesson to your subscribers and anyone who's watching is the Anunnaki were the kind of superior race or the gods or deities of the ancient Sumerians in Mesopotamia thousands and thousands of years ago. One of the oldest religions that we know about or that we have enough information about. And it was a very interesting concept to me, just the religion itself, and also the fact that it was a religion and something that was lost in time and lost in history. Because just like we've always done in mankind, humankind, and in our civilizations, is whenever someone overthrows or conquers or overtakes another culture, we tend to erase or eradicate that entire group of people or belief or religions. And so, just to kind of put it into a nutshell, it was just a concept of bringing to light something that is part of human history. It's part of what makes us human. There's no difference, in my eyes, between religions or beliefs or creation stories or what makes us function as people 10,000 years ago than it does today, because we're no different. The minute changes in our makeup of who we are as people is so few and far between from who people were 10,000 years ago to who we were today. We're the same species. We're the same people. We're all humans, and we should bring to light and celebrate and learn and um, try to understand where we were back then to where we are today, because that is what makes us human. And so it's not so much focusing on just one in particular ancient religion or ancient belief system, but just to kind of bring that one to light, as it is one of the oldest ones that we have and something that we should
Mhm.
talk about and something that we should learn from.
Yeah, and that has happened throughout the human history until recently. It still happens, people wanting to impose another people's beliefs on a group. Where it would be easier if we all just like shield and let everyone do their own thing.
If we were just a chill dude on a couch, right? Like if we were
Yeah,
just
just let
if we were just
let
hanging
people.
out.
Yeah, let people, if they believe in something, respect that and just let them believe in what they believe, and other people believe what they believe, and not trying to impose, because
Exactly.
that's basically how. And it's 2022 and it's still happening, which is crazy. Like, you would think that would have evolved, but we keep making like same mistakes in different areas. And now, like, we can we with us having like the internet, we have the power. Like, everyone knows what happens everywhere now because the communication's so fast. Like,
100%.
so it's incredible. So yeah, other songs on the album, what other themes do you touch on this album?
Yeah, so other than like, something like Anunnaki or The Deafening, which one deals with more of a historical or kind of a more, um, you know, kind of a older religion or belief system, and the other one is more of a internal struggle or self-doubt within someone. we range in this record from, being inspired by a Canadian naval base out in Winnipeg, Manitoba, which is in the center of our country, which is not near any body of water that is like close to the ocean, which is kind of interesting that you'd have a naval base in the middle of the prairies.
That makes no
Uh,
sense.
yeah, but being a prairie boy myself, like just being born in Winnipeg, and my family is from there. It was just an inspirational kind of thing and a really cool concept for a song. We also stem, with introspective moments, depression, emotions, overcoming things, triumphs, and we also deal with, criticizing or taking on, um, certain things we do as a society, societal things. So it's a broad spectrum, but I think the
Yeah.
overall thematic, um, you know, thought process of this record is taking on things larger than yourself, which is why momentous is kind
Yeah.
of the name of the record. Is it's a large word for a large feeling or explanation for what we're trying to go for.
Okay. So per se, the album, yeah, there's different things, but it's not a concept album per se, correct?
Yeah, no, it's not a concept per se, but it just deals with themes or topics that maybe can coexist with each other, or they kind of, blend together, but it's not necessarily a concept or a themed record per se.
Okay. So I'm gonna show the artwork of the album for the Momentous. So here we have it, and it's oh wait, what happened? Let me share it now. I don't know what happened there. Okay, there we have it. So this is the album cover for the Momentous album. So who worked on this cover?
You know what? That's a question for one of our other band members, just because he got in contact with the artist, but I don't have the artist name off the top of my head, unfortunately. But
Oh, that's
I
okay.
do, but I do remember that in the process of coming up with this art piece, what we like to do as a band is, we trust other artists and their own mediums to come up with their own, thoughts or interpretations of what our art is and our medium. So in regards to the album artwork per se, we kind of send them some lyrics, some rundowns of what the record's about, um, you know, different topics, themes, ideas, words, and we kind of let that all blend into, I guess, what they interpret it as, and this is what you get, which is
Yeah,
beautiful,
yeah, it
because
looks cool. Yeah, it looks like
yeah,
I can see, there's someone in the middle who's kind of battling. It looks like shadows of some sort, and
mhm,
uh, or running against something. So yeah, it looks pretty cool. It looks very progressive metal.
yeah, 100%.
Yeah, so it's a cool album artwork, and yeah, I think it conveys the music. So yeah, you were saying, about like the themes, the running themes. How how would you think the sound on this album differs from your previous three albums?
Yeah, I'd say that for one, um, I think we've improved our songwriting as a whole. We've matured as songwriters and as musicians. So I think that it's a lot more of a focused and more kind of cohesive record as a whole with all the songs, and the direction is a lot more formulated, and kind of we're all going towards the same end goal, I think, which is why we believe it's our strongest record to date. And then I think we just every record we've done as a band, especially since I've been in the band, since Kingsbane, is every
Mm,
single album we take the elements that we know that, oh, okay, yeah, this is more who we are. This represents who we are as musicians and as writers. And we take those and we expand upon them and we evolve those. And so I think that what we're seeing is kind of over the last three records, just a growth of the styles and the choices that have really blossomed over the last 6 years and really just kind of cemented our style and kind of allowed us to grow into our sound and who we are as a band.
okay, and so what would you say? that was the song on the album that was the harder to write, and which one is the one that you love to perform the most?
Yeah, well, we've already performed a few of these songs. Our record is coming out on the 4th, so we're going to be playing a lot more of the songs off the record going forward. But we have tried out a few live. I love performing Dominion Day. It's a song that I really love on the record, so I just personally love it. But also just the chorus to Beyond the Sun. Um, I think it's very anthemic. I think it's one of the coolest or well thought out or well written choruses that we've ever done. So I love singing that live. So I think that as a those two songs really so far have been really great. But who knows about in the future? And to answer your first question about what was the toughest to record, I can only speak for myself because I know that each band member had their own,
Yeah.
experiences with recording. But in regards to myself, I'd say a song like Awake, um, just because it's a very personal song to me. So I put a lot of pressure on myself to probably too much, and at the expense of Cody, our drummer, who records my vocals, because I put him through take after take after take. Even though we probably already had the take, I in my head I had to get a certain sound or certain take out of it,
Mm.
and probably turned his brain to mush. And I apologize to Cody for that. But I'd say Awake was probably up there for me. But as a band as a whole, I'd say Momentous was definitely a really cool undertaking for us, a very ambitious undertaking because we collaborated, all 5 of us, on that song almost equally. I think we all contributed a lot to that song, and so it was a really true testament of us sitting down and really hashing out how the song would work and go, and the complexities and the changes and the journey that is that song, because it is like 12, 13 minutes long. So I'd say Momentous was probably, as a band, just because it was the most ambitious thing we've ever tackled as a band.
Yeah, and it's good that the 5 of you could get together and come up with a concept that you enjoy it. And I like that you were saying that you made the drummer record you over and over again. So you don't need a producer like I don't know if you remember Def Leppard had Mott Lang, who made them like with that Hysteria album, made them like record a song like 100 times. So you don't need that producer. You're your own Mott Lang.
Yeah, well, I think at our level, and also just being a metal band,
Hmm.
an independent metal band, that's one thing that bands got to learn is
Hmm.
you got to learn to self-produce, and to self-produce your own stuff is tough because you have to start being critical in different ways. Not critical on like your own performance, but start being critical of the overall sound and why you're making these decisions. So that's what makes, like, when a band breaks through that is self-produced, there should be a lot more credit to those artists because they didn't have someone necessarily helping coach them through certain decisions and choices. They had to do that themselves, and it's a lot, and it's really tough to look at yourself and look at your art and be like, that's not good enough, or we need to change this, or we need to restructure this. And it can cause a lot of strain, and can sometimes restrict the overall process and your end results. So yeah, you got to learn to do that for sure. We've definitely been doing that for some time now.
Yeah, and would you in the future for another album, like would you consider like working with outside producers, or do you like the approach of you guys doing it yourself? Plus,
uh,
you,
um
you get to save money.
yeah, well, yeah, for sure, money for sure. I think if, like, it's all about finding people that have the same vision and see the same end goal. So if there was someone coming in as a third party or like a extra voice or something, if they had the same vision as us, and they saw where we were going and where we wanted to go, then that makes sense, right? I think it's when there's a clash of, and it doesn't matter what you're doing, what facet of life you're talking about. Whenever someone comes in that doesn't have the same, that doesn't see eye to eye or doesn't see where it's going, there's a lot of clashing, and can sometimes be detrimental to where you want to go. So I think, um, if there was ever someone that came along that was like, I see where you guys are going, I understand what you're talking about, or what you want to do, then obviously the decisions that are made, and the consulting and the advice and whatever that goes on, would be able to get you to that end result, and maybe a lot more efficiently and effectively.
Yeah. And for this album, for Momentous, how long did it take you guys to record, do the lyrics, everything? How long did it take?
Yeah, I guess since the beginning of like the writing, demoing, like pre-production, studio tracking, mixing. I mean, it probably was like a year-long process, just because with COVID happening too. It was like we'd have a month where everything was open and we were like meeting up and getting stuff done, and then all of a sudden everything closed. And then we were, you know, especially being up in Canada, we had a lot of off and on restrictions over the course of COVID. So um, we would have moments where we couldn't get together and we can only do stuff virtually, and there's only a certain amount of stuff we could do, or things got broken up. So I think the overall process took a lot longer than we would have liked, but it allowed us to have a lot more patience and a
Mm.
lot more time to kind of perfect what we were going for.
Yeah, because maybe you had time to sit down and maybe hear something else like, hey, this could be better, and maybe do some changes since you had more time with it. So you were mentioning that the Awake song is one of the most personal one on the album. Is it hard for you to write something that is more personal?
Uh, it's never too hard to write about it,
Mhm.
but it's
Maybe
hard to
share it with the world.
it's hard to share it. Yeah, yeah, and and I'm all about, like, I'd rather leave things up for interpretation for people. I rarely ever want to be cut and dry unless it's historical. If we've
Mhm.
done some songs that are historical, um, that's more cut and dry, because I'm not necessarily giving my opinion on it. I'm just stating more of facts or what is known to people already. Um, but when it's personal, it's like it's not hard to write about, because I'm just pouring down how I'm feeling. And there's nothing wrong with that, because it's how I'm feeling. There's no right or wrong about those emotions, or my thoughts at the time. But to share it with people, that's a little scary. There's
Yeah.
there's those moments of like, well, I'm kind of telling people how I feel about something, and you're kind of taking a glimpse into who I am as a person and how my brain ticks. And so that's I'd say on this record, that's going to be some things I'm going to have to learn to accept and be okay with, is really sharing some more personal and sensitive, vulnerable kind of topics and songs.
Yeah, but actually, when bands have those type of songs, they usually connect with the audience because
Mhm.
people can relate. So, what is Awake about?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I guess not to go too much into it. It's
Yeah, without
but
no spoilers.
yeah, yeah. Someone who's very, very important to me in my life. Was going through a very slow um, decay and dissension with an illness. Um, and so I had to, it was that frustration of watching them go through that and knowing that they can't do anything, and me watching them go through that and knowing I can't do anything about that, and coming to terms with, that mortality, and also just trying to make sense of it all, especially in that moment, because now that individual has passed on, and for the better too, for no pain and no suffering. But just that whole, it's kind of like a snapshot of the last, like, kind of like the last year or 2 years until that moment of when that person finally subdued to the illness. So it's kind of like my own thought process and how I was processing that, and trying to put myself into the shoes of that individual, which, of course, I had no freaking idea what that was like. And I can only just tell it from my point of view and what I thought maybe they were going through.
Yeah, no, it really sounds like a very personal song, and yeah, it takes a lot to put it because the historical fast the historical, but putting something that's more personal, you're putting yourself out there. But yeah, like I think people relate to personal songs, especially with the years that we have, people losing so many loved ones through COVID and everything. I think it's a relatable song, and I'm
Hmm.
sure people will enjoy it. And the album, I like the album because it has peaks and highs, and your voice, like you got a great range to your voice, which helps with the progressive and the symphonic elements. So, you being such a prog fan, what are your favorite prog albums of all time?
Up there, number one, probably number one, Operation Mindcrime.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, like just a incredible record. And vocally, Jeff Tate is at his absolute best. It is some of the most insane vocals, and the songwriting is just brilliant. The songwriting, like it's just, I think it's just them at their absolute peak when it comes to where they were heading, what they were doing, and that was recorded in Canada. And uh, Dr. X, um, the man with the cure, as Jeff Tate would
hmm
say, was inspired by a guy Jeff Tate met in a bar in Montreal. So Dr.
I
X
didn't
is
know
more or
that.
less, yeah, Dr. X is more or less a Canadian, just some drunk, twisted Canadian, I guess, that inspired a villain in a concept record. But anyway, so that's kind of cool. So I'd say that's up there for me for sure. A lot of, I'd say like you could also bring in like Train of Thought. Dream Theater was a big record too.
Yeah, and a very
Um,
underrated one,
yep,
because that's
yep,
that's later in their career.
yep. But I think also too because like I'm a in the timeline of Dream Theater, I'm a younger guy. So when I got into them, it was in the 2000s. So that wasn't an old record for me. Um,
Yeah,
that was and sorry, it wasn't an old record, but it wasn't like it was happening at the time. Like that band, was kind of still doing that kind of stuff, and I was like,
yeah.
whoa! And I remember being in high school when they were looking for their new drummer after Mike left, and they settled on Mike Mangini, and just like all that kind of stuff. So I'd say that's up there too. I don't know if I have like one necessarily that pops off, but I just know that the Operation Mindcrime's up there for me. I just love that album so much.
Yeah, Operation Migraine and Train of Thought. Yeah, I've actually seen Dream Theater twice, and
Wow,
the
beautiful.
the I saw them with Portnoy
Mhm.
back when I was living in Puerto Rico. I saw them and they played, and yeah, I don't think it was in the Train of Thought like tour, but yeah, that album, yeah, it's and I think that's also one of their more like harder albums, like musically. Like it's more like because there's like no ballad on that one. That's like a hard, like they told James Labrie, no ballad.
Yeah. No,
But
that's
yeah,
that's probably why I liked it. That's probably why I liked it too at the time, like being,
yeah,
or why it hit me so hard.
yeah, nice. So yeah, those are two solid choices. And so Reed, it's been great talking to you all about the Momentous, which is coming out this Friday. So people, if you like progressive symphonic metal, check out Osiron, because they have free releases before this. And this Friday, they're putting out their brand new album, Momentous. So I'm going to show the artwork one last time for people. So I know it's coming out digitally, but is it also coming out physically sometime in the future?
Yeah, so there are CDs if you go onto our Bandcamp, if you just look
Mhm.
up Osiron on Google, we're the only thing in the world I think called Osiron, so it's we're
Oh,
we're
yeah. I've never
everywhere.
heard that name before.
Yeah, so we're everywhere on the internet. So by all means, check out our Bandcamp. We've got merch, we've got CDs. I think we've got some cassettes as well. I could be wrong, but I think we have cassettes. Um, and in the near future, I personally would like to start producing some vinyl. It definitely is a more expensive, harder to obtain kind of method
It
of
is. Yeah.
releasing of music right now. But I'm a vinyl collector myself. I can see you have vinyl as well, and
Yes.
I'd love to put this album on vinyl. So if we have enough people requesting it, and we have enough people kind of voicing their desire to have it, then it's going to kind of force us to no matter what print a few batches anyway, right? So,
Yeah.
but we do have CDs. I believe we have cassettes, and then obviously it's digital as well.
Yeah. So you being a vinyl collector, you feel the struggle of sometime not being able to afford a meal.
Yeah, yeah. But then again, I've trained myself to only buy vinyl when I have the extra funds. So
Yeah,
I
and also you have to be picky with which album. Like there's some classic albums that obviously like having Dark Side of the Moon on vinyl is like a must
sure.
because of the sound on that record. Uh, and there, but yeah, it's expensive, but yeah, I see what when you have the extra cash to buy it, and yeah, the progressive music on vinyl sounds great. I actually have Operation Mindcrime on vinyl, and
Beautiful. So do I.
yeah, and it sounds so great, such a classic album. So I see why you love it as well. So people, the new album is coming out this Friday. So check out Osiron. What plans do you have for the future? Is there like a tour brewing in the works right now?
Yeah, so right now, obviously, we're releasing the record on Friday. We're doing a show in our home city of Calgary to celebrate that release. So we've got a big show, and then the next night
This
we're heading
Friday,
up.
right?
Yep, now on the 4th, and then the next night we're in Edmonton, which is the other major city just north of us. So we're going up there on the Saturday, and then we're going to be hitting up a lot of dates around Western Canada for all of November. So we're going all through British Columbia, from Vancouver, all the way to Manitoba, to Winnipeg, which is the place that I was born. So we're doing a bunch of dates around Western Canada. Uh, and then in the hopefully not so distant future, our goal is to hit up the rest of Canada, the United States, and or Europe. That would be the goal as
Yeah.
well.
Canada is huge. Like it has
I've
to
been
be
I've
like,
been coast to I've been coast to coast.
yeah, no,
I've been
it's
coast to
it's it
coast. It's
looks
massive.
massive. Like it looks massive. It's I think it's bigger than the United States. Like in the
Land wise it
yeah,
is.
it's
Yeah.
it's it's just like massive. And the thing is that there's the cities are all spread apart too. Like
Yeah.
so yeah, it's massive. So Reed, I can't thank you enough for taking some time to talk with me, and I hope that the album is a success and more success to the band Osiron. So people check them out this Friday. If you're in Canada, go to the show on the 4th. If you're not in Canada, then you're screwed. But in you're in Canada, go check it out and wear a jacket. It's going to be chilly up there.
It's really cold. I'll show you right now. Little dicey out
Oh
there
my
right
God.
now. So yeah.
Yeah, no. Like my Puerto Rican ass would be freezing.
Hace mucho frío hoy. Hace mucho
Yes,
frío.
it looks cold. So people, check out the band. So until next time, this is Hector, the Shield on a Couch, and I'll see you all right here on the couch. Thank you and good night.